Hello, it's your friend Renee here, and welcome back to the It's In You podcast. So today I want to talk about belonging and being authentic. And it is something that I'm really passionate about, and it's been something that I've been thinking about a little bit more lately due to some different things that I guess have been going on in my life. And it's really made me think about what is being authentic and how that presents in our body and how we react differently when we are being authentic and when we're being not authentic. The reason that it's more relevant in my life is we were just on a couple of weekends ago, we were at a function and it was a party for somebody, and there was a group of people there, and it really got me thinking, because what people were saying and how they were acting was two different things. And then obviously, again, what they were posting on social media was different to the things that they'll say. And it really bothers me, because I'm not like that. And I guess I've sat with it for a few weeks, because I've been working out why is this annoying me? Like, why is it annoying me so much? And it's probably annoying me because I just don't want to be around those people that are saying one thing and then say something different. And I guess, I just thought that by the age of 40, that people could be more, just be who you are. But we still struggle with lots of this stuff, and definitely on my journey within the last 2 years, I've really learnt to be so much more authentic, and when more of who I am, and when we can be that person, it really does set you free. And when you feel like you can't be who you truly are on the inside, we feel like we have to wear this mask. But the other thing is that there's people that feel this way and they don't know they're doing it, because they don't know any different. So they feel like they're having to be somebody else, or be it blows me away when you see people that put makeup on in the morning, or they'll put makeup on, there's nothing wrong with putting makeup on in the morning, but they put makeup on at 5 o'clock in the morning to come to the gym. They'll put, people that put makeup on because their husbands have never seen them without makeup on. That's just one example. But I just want you to start thinking about, are you being authentically who you are? Or do you not even really, have you not even questioned or thought about who you are? Are we just tracking along this track and going with the flow of everything? It's got me thinking, like I said, because of, when I see what people say, and then I see how they act, and it wasn't all aligning, and it just, like I said, I was just so confused, and I was these people were all hugging each other, and I was in this hug, and I was like, I just feel really weird doing this, because it's not 2 days ago you were saying this about this person, and it made me feel really uncomfortable. And it brings me back to thinking about how things was in high school for me. Now, in high school, I was in this group, and there was 5 of us, and girls are girls, and so in the group there was always somebody that was left out. So somebody was left out, and so 2 people would be friends, and they would bitch about the other 2, or the other, or one. There was always somebody left out because there was a 5. And it got to a point where I just didn't want to be like that anymore. Again, and when I was in that group, I wasn't being myself. I was trying to fit in. I was trying to be cool. I was being mean. I was mean to other girls, and that wasn't who I was truly to the core. But I was trying to fit in. It was because I didn't have the confidence to step away. I didn't have the confidence at that time. I just wanted to fit in. But they got this point of always somebody being left out and bitched about. I just didn't want to do it anymore. So I think in grade 10, maybe one year, I decided to leave this group, and I thought, I I just don't want to be associated with this anymore. So I left the group and, I moved my bag, which was, anyway, so yeah, I left the group and I started kind of more just hanging around with people that aligned more with who I was. And I didn't quite realize that at the time, but I just, I didn't have to have a particular, I think for a little while I went to a different group and I hung around with them and then that made the group 6. So then I had the person that was my so-called bestie, but she was just the 5th person that was left out, so I just joined in on her and I hung around them for a little while, but then not too much longer. I ended up more branching out on myself. And I never forget that and from them, I could just be who I was. I really was who I was, and I didn't have to be nasty to the girls. I didn't have to try to be popular. I was just me. And it wasn't until we'd left school, and I really made, in my last final years of school, I really made some really good, solid friends who I'm still friends with now. And once we left school, I remember one day one of my friends saying to me, he said, do you know, he said, the best thing you ever did was left that group. He said, because he said he didn't think I was a nice person when I was with them. And, we're still friends now. And, and the thing was, at the time when I was in that group, I thought I was cool. And, but the thing was that I wasn't being myself. And, like from that point on was something really, I realized when Mark had said to me, you weren't a nice person when you were with them. And I am a nice person. I wasn't being me. And he was saying the best thing you ever did was left them. And these people were amazing, and the people that I became friends with. And they're just the most beautiful people. But if I was still in that group, I never would have given them the time of day. And, I'm so glad that I came to my senses and I walked away from them and I became who I was. And the thing is that I was lucky enough to learn that at an early age. And now I really tune into how I'm feeling and how people make me feel. And that as I'm getting older, I'm recognizing it a lot sooner than what I did when I was younger. So in high school, it took me years to realize it. And then, with different things, different experiences I've had, obviously I left high school a very long time ago, different experiences you've had growing, I would be with people and realize they're not my type of people. And I wouldn't really spend much time with them. And I remember going to, when I had a baby, when I first had Cooper, and I was in a mother's group. And then I found myself, the first day that they said, oh, mate, we won't be judgmental and, whatever else. And they were. And no badness against anybody, but they just weren't my people. They just weren't my people. And I found myself really dreading going and hating it. And after that, I remember this day, I just thought, why? And I stopped going. I felt I had to go because I wanted to meet more people. I wanted Cooper to have a friend, and I wanted to say, you've been friends since you were a baby, but all of that things that doesn't matter to them. They just weren't my people, and I, left. So that took me, a couple of months to realize that, so as you're getting older, I'm getting better at recognizing these. So when we are being authentic, we are really being our true self. It's all about expressing who you are without censoring yourself, without worried about judgment or how others react. And you'll be able to just show who you truly are, not worry about anything else. And when you are truly being who you are, you can set yourself free. So the next thing we want to talk about is when we're being authentic, then you're going to feel like you belong. So when you feel like you belong, you're going to feel safe to be who you are, and you can be yourself. And when we have this sense of belonging is when you can really feel free, and we can't be held up. Now you might be thinking, how does this even relate to weight or, any health or any of those things. But this all relates down to your happiness. And when we are truly happy and aligned with who we want to be and who we are, then we are going to get rid of, we'll be reducing stress, getting rid of shame, and all of those things, which those things are all linked to making us overeat. And when we are truly happy and aligned with who we want to be and who we are, again, we can just let go a lot of the stuff that is going on in our heads. Now, the thing is, if we're using the word as somebody is inauthentic, it doesn't sound very nice. It sounds like somebody is deliberately trying to be manipulative or trying to hurt you. But the thing is that when we think about when someone's being inauthentic or inauthenticity, I was stumbling over my words there, it's these people putting on these masks. Now, number one, people might not even realize that they're doing that. Number two, they might have spent their whole life putting on this performing mask, and it's really hard to start to realize that you want to act differently, or that you're not actually being who you are. You're just so used to putting on this mask of, and unfortunately there's lots of things in life, where people have to put on, maybe for a job role, they feel like they have to be a certain way in a job role. They feel like they have to be a certain way in front of parents or family members because of judgment. My husband has tattoos all down his arms, and now tattoos are very, very common. But when he first had tattoos, which was a long time ago, it wasn't as common. And he has one on his this part of his hand here, so between his thumb, and he told me for years he used to wear shirts for his work. He had to wear collared shirts, and he would wear the shirts, and he would get the biggest size and wear the sleeves all the way down to cover that tattoo, because it wasn't, I've the smallest tattoo on my back. And when I first got it, I worked in a florist, and I had to cover that tattoo up because my boss at the time thought that people wouldn't buy the flowers because of the tattoo on my back. And I thought that was so stupid at the time, but I had to do it, and I did it, on the chance that I bent over and you could see my back. But so there's people that have had to put on this mask or hide who they truly are. And the thing is that if you recognize maybe that some people around you aren't being authentic, or I guess from my point of view, my experience a few weeks ago of people, not being who they are and being more inauthentic, I want you to see it from a different angle and come at it from that they're not deliberately trying to mislead you, to see it from that they're actually trying to protect themselves, because that they're afraid that others will take their love away or take their friendship away, so they feel like they can't be who they are. So I want you to look at this from another perspective, from the perspective of that these people that are being that way feel like they can't be their true selves. And maybe you could let them be, you could be more open as about being who you are and loving people regardless. And, because the most people that are being, that are not being authentic and, feel like they have to wear this performance mask, it is because they're worried that they'll have this love takeaway, and they most likely have had that happen before. So they have happened before, so they feel like they have to perform or act a certain way because they don't want to get hurt again. So, instead of being angry at people or annoyed or whatever else, see it as oh wow, you feel like this is how they're feeling, but let's maybe look at being like, let's show them a different way, and I really try really hard I try to be my authentic self in every situation. I really feel I am. It just doesn't sit right with me if I'm not who I am. I had those experiences younger, and I just don't like it. And if people aren't my people, or I'm not who I am, or I'm not comfortable, I just don't, if you're in a situation and if you're at a function and it's, you're kind of stuck there for a little bit, well, that's fine. But if I don't put myself in those situations, if I don't need to be, if they're not the people that make me feel good about myself, or people that I can be who I am, who I truly am around them, then they're not really people I want to spend my time or my energy on. And I want you to start thinking about where in your life, is there something in your life where you are being inauthentic, when you're not who you truly are? And I love who I am. I really, really love who I am. And I don't want to be anyone else. And I think it's really nice for everybody to get to that point where they can feel good about themselves and feel good about who they are, and don't have to put an act on. When you can be yourself, and when you have this life of not having to hide, and I have hidden before, and it is a life that's intentional, and it is so much richer and beautiful, and it is so worth it. So if you are feeling like you are holding back in things, I really urge you to start recognizing if you're doing that, and to just try to be a bit more authentic. And I'm going to give you some strategies in how to do that soon. So if you're saying to me, okay, I don't even know who I am, or if I am being inauthentic, there are some signs that you could look for, and your body will tell you before your mind will. So I want you to think about, being, if you're faking it, or you're trying to be someone who you're not, you will recognize it in your body. And I massively rely on my gut, and and I really am in tune with my body, and this is what I want you to do, and this is what I try to teach. I teach people because the more that you can tune into your body and what it is telling you, it's your best teacher. If you are being inauthentic, your body will tell you and it's all different to us, but you may have heaviness in your chest. You may feel queasy in your stomach. You may sweat. You may notice that you start fidgeting. Feel heat on your face. You might have some negative narratives in your mind, like I'm not good enough, I'm a loser, all of those types of yucky things. You might feel tension in your neck or shoulders or in your back. You might clench your teeth, any of those things. The thing is, your body will start recognizing this before your mind does. When you feel like you belong, you feel more anchored. You can be at peace. You can be in a state of flow, and that everything feels easy. You don't feel stressed or tension, or like if we're that having to sit up a certain way, not worried about what are we wearing, who's going to look at us, what are they going to say about us, not over analyzing the things after, like when certain friends, you hang around certain friends, and some that it just feels easy, where other people that you feel like you have to sit there and have to act a certain way, or I shouldn't say this, or I better watch what I say in case that offends her, or whatever, those types of things. And you feel like when you are being more authentic, you feel like there's nothing that you need to manage in your head. So you don't need to manage situations or people or any of those things. It just feels calm and easy. So I want you to think about, do you have those types of friends in your life? Or those, is that how your work feels? Where in your life does it feel that way? And I urge you to spend more time with people, around people that make you feel that way, than the people that you feel like you have to be someone else to. The thing is that we can have things, and it triggers in your body. It triggers in your body, and it might happen to you so often that you don't even recognize it. And it triggers in your body and it sends off. So in the caveman days, we had this, that we're having to run away from the tiger. And now in our era, you feel like, so your body would sense danger, and we would have to run away, feel like we have to run away you would have to run away, to survive. And your body would tell you that, and they would. But now in our era, we tend to have that feeling all the time. And this can be the thing that when we're in this fight or flight is when you are holding on to your weight. When you are holding on to weight because you are constantly in fight or flight and you're stressed and you're not being your true authentic self. And it can be a contributing factor. And when we are feeling this way and we are feeling unsafe and not who we are, we don't feel like we belong, we tend to go to look at food as a comfort. And then we are overeating and then the cycle continues. So starting to recognize, lots of people and people that I've trained over the years, I understand that they have a daily experiences of feeling like they don't belong, which is, they're not safe, don't feel safe to be who they truly are. In this era, we feel like we're constantly having to run away from the tiger. So we're not getting any time to just be yourself, to relax, to just to be who you are, where you feel like you've got to always have, always be on edge and always be worried. And that's what I want you to start recognizing is, are you feeling that way? And when you can be authentically who you are, you will feel more at ease. You will be able to enjoy the flow and just life as to how it is. And we're not going to feel uptight and stressed all the time. We want to start tuning in. So how can we first start to become more authentic? So if we want to become more authentic, we want to look at who you are. Look at really, really who you are and start to define and embrace what your strengths are. And, it can be one of the most energizing ways to really tap into your authenticity. So really start to, notice what's the good things about you, what's things that, you're really good at, that make you you and make you feel good. The number 2 is to start exploring your values. So when we are spending time, when we recognize what your values are, and when you're spending time with people that your values align, you will always feel, my dog's just growling. You will always feel better about yourself. So, and when you are aligning with people that are just like you, that flow is going to feel a lot easier. When you're with people that are not your type of people, you will always still feel that on edge. And generally, your better friends, you will have very similar values. Your partner, you will probably have, again, very similar values. The third tip to becoming more authentic is acknowledge your external and internal influences. We have these influences that habits and behaviors that we do because of internal motivators or drivers, or things come from external sources, like social norms, how we've been brought up, so what are the factors that are influencing who you are, how you are acting, or where you're being? And we want to really establish your own meaningful goals and what it is that truly matters to you, and start more acting in that way. And I know for me, a lot of things is as I got older, I started to question like who I was being. Was I being this because this is how I wanted to be, or was I being a certain way because that's just how I was brought up? And then making sure that stuff all align. We want to start to notice and name your emotions. So start to notice how you feel in different situations. And, like in that situation that I was in, just didn't feel right. It didn't feel right. It didn't feel right when, it was in this huddle of people and, everybody was saying how much they loved each other. It just felt really, really fake. And I really, really struggle with, that's not who I am. And, and then start to understand what things bring you joy and what things bring you frustration and anger, and start to, just start to become aware of all of how these feel, and ask yourself the questions. Why am I feeling this? Like if something really bugs me about somebody, I'm always going, why? why is it getting to me so much? And I ask myself that question a lot, and I generally work it out, and it's quite good to work that out. To become more authentic is practice mindfulness. My fifth tip is practicing mindfulness, and this is something that I didn't do for a very, very long time. It's a really great thing to get into. Now, being mindful is you can do it through journaling, meditations, those types of things. But when the art of writing stuff out and recognizing how you're feeling, and it's and having this kind of self-reflection time gives you great insight into who you are and why you might be feeling a certain way, and starting you to recognize as what makes you feel good about yourself and how you can truly be who you are, and what is the things of when you're being inauthentic and or not who you are. And when you start to recognize it, then we can go, okay, I pick up on this, and I can, and that's the thing. And when like I said, I really judge on how my body feels about certain things, and I just don't want to, when I feel a certain way, or when it just doesn't feel right in my gut, and I just don't want to do. I just will not continue with that stuff now. And I said, as the older I'm getting, I am more, I'm just more not putting up with it anymore. And I think that's a great thing about getting older and wiser, and stopping, because I'm a people pleaser, stopping being a people pleaser. My sixth tip, and that final tip, is really build your social support system. So we want to have people all around us who you can be your true unfiltered version of yourself. And when you're truly you, I laugh at my husband when he's himself, and he, just laughs and silly and can just be who he is. And it's so much better than trying to be posh, or, or just being uncomfortable and not saying what you want to be. And it's just when you have those friends that you can be around, comparing it to the people that you might think are friends, but where you have to act a certain way or have to put this mask on, it's just so much more fun. It is just so much more fun. So I want you to think about your social circles and who you're spending time with, and who are the people that bring that joy out in you, and who you feel like you belong to, who you can be yourself around, and who there's no judgment, and what makes your heart feel good. And that's who we should be spending our time with, not with the other people where we feel like we have to put on a mask and act, and you're worried about what they say, or you'll think about it after. And when we are spending more time with those people and more times in that type of situations, you are obviously going to be, the more that you are yourself, the more regularly yourself, the more regularly you're going to like it, and you're going to not want to be somebody else, but the more you're going to be set free and not be in that fight or flight all the time. My next tips is, so that's some strategies is to being more authentic. And the next tip is about, so how can we, when the first thing is, again, in being more authentic and recognizing the situations that we're in that maybe don't feel good, I want you to start tuning in as to what your mind is saying to you. When we are in a situation, so any situation, if you're feeling joy in the situation, you are more likely being authentically you. And so joy will be when you feel at ease, we feel calm, anchored, you feel like you can obviously be who you are. We're feeling really happy. When you're feeling stressed, so, we feel, and then when you're in a stressful situation, or you're in a situation you feel stressed, you feel like you don't belong, you feel we've got this negative talk going on in our head. I'm a loser, don't say anything in case of what people might say, or, don't be who you are. Belonging, so feeling like we belong, that is measured by how you feel. Okay, so feeling like we belong in a situation will be measured by your feelings and how you're feeling in a situation. So when you start to tune into more, so when you are in situations that you're feeling real joy, then you are more likely being authentically you. When you're in a situation that you are feeling more stressed, and we have that kind of more of that negative self-talk in our head, then you are more likely not being who you authentically are. And from there, I asking you to to look at that situation and just recognize that you maybe aren't being yourself, and think, why would I feel that way, and dig a little bit deeper with it. When we feel like we're being judged, when you feel like you're being judged by people, your body takes it as an attack. So it's taking as attack. So it's setting yourself up, for this fight or flight, because we've got to run away from this tiger. And like I said, you could be feeling this way every day. You could be feeling this way, going to school, going to meet people, and so then you're constantly releasing this cortisol, the stress hormone, because your body thinks it needs to protect itself. And it doesn't. So this is why we want to be in more situations where we can be who we are, we can feel stress-free, and we can feel more joy. We're needing to settle our nervous system, because again, so when our nervous system is on edge, you are more likely to hold on to weight. So we want to learn to settle our nervous system, and by starting to recognize this, the more that you can recognize it, you can feel less triggered, and then you're going to experience more joy in life and less of that stressful situations when you can't be who you are. Let's say you're in a situation and you might feel, they say that crying is the best way to let toxins out and to get it out. But lots of us, and I'm someone that, I don't like people to see me cry, and I try to hold it in. And it is something that I have been learning to let come out. But we might feel like I don't want people to see they've upset me. I'm not going to cry in this situation. But maybe you could hold on to it, and you could come to it when you're on your own, and then you could let it out. Because remember, when it builds up in you, it builds up inside when you're not being who you are, when we don't feel like we belong, when we feel unhappy. If you let it all build up, it is just eating at you, and we don't want that. I want you to feel at ease, and life just flows, feel anchored, and just be who you are, because who you are is amazing. And everybody will love you for you. They're not gonna, just be who you are. Don't try to be someone else, because there is nobody that thinks like you, nobody that acts like you. And if people don't love you for who you are, or they don't accept for who you are, then they're not worth it. They're not worth your energy, and there will be people in your life that are worth your energy, and focus your energy more on them. We want to focus on, so we're recognizing these negative situations, but we can't just always focus on negative. I want you to recognize and spend more time recognizing the joy in life and the good situations, so we can focus on these things. And the more that you're focusing on these positive situations and putting yourselves in those situations more often, that we're going to be more wired to becoming more towards that more positive, to experience that more often and to spend more time there. How can we become more free and liberated, and and be more of who you are? There is planning. So when we're in situations, like, I guess when you're in a situation that you feel like you can't be who you are, or you're being not your true self, you can plan out beforehand what your reactions would be. So when the situation comes, you are more prepared, and this stuff will just flow out, instead of acting when we're triggered, And when you start to plan things out, so it's scripting it out. So you could script out what you will say, what you will do in certain situations that maybe you're worried about. So I could give the example of telling somebody that you love them, and then what you would say, what would happen in each situation if they didn't say it back, or whatever else. And so the more that you say it, you script out how you're feeling, or what you would say, what you would do in this situation, then the more that you repeat it, it will more authentically roll off your tongue if that situation occurs. And if it doesn't occur, then it doesn't matter. But you will be more prepared for that situation when you have scripted it out and thought about it. You are not making that situation happen, but you are just being prepared for when it does. And even the art of writing things down, you are more likely to better retain it. But the art of writing things down, you are just making things clearer in your head so you can be more authentic to who you are. You can then also plan. So my first tip is script it out. Second tip is when you are in those situations and that negative talk starts to happen, that you're not good enough, what's your mantra to say to yourself? And this is what I do, is I catch myself a lot more quicker than what I ever have. And I catch myself when that negative talk starts, and I stop it. And you can say things like, you've got this, you're just, it's not true. So another example of is me and my husband, we managed my son's, he's a coach, I managed his son's soccer team. And, that a few people had told me how people were, it's coming up to the end of season, and how people were not wanting to put in for a gift for us. Now, we don't do it for a gift. We don't do any of that. The fact that there was bitching and this about it made me feel a bit sad, and I thought, wow, you don't know people, you thought you knew people, and that's all fine. But I could have spiraled as into, I thought they liked me, they don't like me, that nobody wants to say thank you. So I could have spiraled that way, and I did start, but I stopped myself. And I asked myself the question. So I recognized that I was spiraling, and I stopped myself. And this is what I want you to get to. And I said, who are you doing this for? I'm not doing it for those people. I'm doing it for my son. I'm doing it to be more connected to his friends, because I would like to know his friends better. I want to be that mum that they come to our house. I want them to feel that they can talk to me. I don't want to be the mum that they feel scared of. And that's why I'm doing it. So I stopped myself, and I stopped myself before I started spiraling. And I, used different words like, nope, you've got this, and I can do that now. I couldn't before, but I stopped myself spiraling. And the more that you recognize it and you start doing it, that's, and we start saying to yourself, nope, you've got this, when that negative talk starts, because we all have it. We can, you could recognize it and just stop it. Stop it from continuing and spiraling to being, so for me, it was like a second thought, instead of it turning into, like, oh, nobody likes me, and that, which is, none of that stuff's true. I just, I just had that moment. So I want you to think about what's your kind of mantra to get yourself out of it, and to stop yourself. I noticed I was spiraling, and I stopped. I was like, Renee, stop, think here. And I had to be quite firm with myself. Renee, stop. And I kind of catch myself that way. And you work out your own way, but to catch yourself when that negative talk starts, to stop it. And then when we are feeling that way, the third step is, what do you do to settle yourself down? So, is it breathing, slow breathing? It's one of the best things you can do to get yourself out of that fight or flight. And the more regularly that you can do slow breathing or do the breathing techniques, the more that you can, we'll be teaching your body to calm yourself down. And I am teaching my kids this every day, because I wish I saw the powers in it a lot sooner. It's only been the last few years that I've recognized how amazing this is. And, the art of breathing, slowing your breathing down. And you can just Google lots of breathing meditations, breathing for stress relief. There's 5-minute ones, 2-minute ones, you can box breathing, breathe in for 4, hold for 4, breathe out for 4, hold for 4, and you can do that 5, you can do that 5, 6, any of that stuff. You can slow your breathing down to, you can do it to calm, to settle yourself down, go for a walk, get out in nature, so start to plan in advance how you are going to handle difficult situations, even if they haven't happened, because the more that you can rehearse a worst case scenario, you are going to be you're going to be more able to stand in the power of who you are, of who you authentically are, and you are going to be more aligned with your true self, and that will shine through when that situation happens, when you're prepared. And when you're not prepared, sometimes that people pleaser just because you don't know how to react, you'll just react, and then you'll think about it after. I wish I did that. Think about that and, plan some of those things out. But now we're realizing that we need to, in order to be authentic, being authentic and being who we truly are makes us feel more like we belong. When we belong, we can feel safe to be who we are. We don't have to act any other way. And when we are belonging and being authentic, you are going to experience more joy and happiness in your life, and we are going to get ourselves out of this fight or flight, and in turn we are going to let go of extra weight that we are holding on because we aren't being truly who we are. Now we've realized this, and now we've got to look at maintaining our authenticity. I keep stumbling over that word. So some tips to maintain your authenticity is be impeccable with your words, okay? And these are kind of 4 things that I stand by. There was a book that I read that explains it so much more. It's called The 4 Agreements. It is, be impeccable with your word. So what I say about me and how I act is truly who I want to be on the inside. I learned from that book is to not take anything personally, because most things are about the other person. They're not about you. They're about how they feel about themselves. And, it is really accepting that you cannot please everybody. And when we stop taking things personally, that was a real big game changer for me. Learn to say no and define your boundaries. So this is a task that I would also recommend to do, is what is your boundaries? And are you somebody, people pleaser me, would say yes to everything, even though it made me truly unhappy. And I would keep saying yes. And the best thing was when I first started dating Lee, he said, stop saying yes. He was like, I see you saying yes to extra shifts and working extra, and you don't want to. Why are you doing it? And it was really great to have an outside person tell me off. So learn to say no. I know it can be hard. It's something I've struggled with, but I learned to say no. And when you can say no and define your boundaries, you will be a lot happier, and you can really maintain that authenticity. And always do your best. Just be who you are and do your best. And I always feel like when you can truly say in your heart, I am being who I am being myself, then you and you know that you've tried your best, and then that's good enough. It's perfect. It's all you need to be. So let's be more of who we are. Don't worry about trying to fit in. Let go of those. And if you're starting to recognize, I want you to think about this podcast, re-listen to it, think about it over the next your next couple of weeks with interacting with people. How do people make you feel? And if they are, recognize what the body's telling you. If it is not who you truly want to be, not who you align with, doesn't make you feel good about yourself, then, maybe that's not the right people that we want to be spending our time with. Please let me know if you've started to recognize these things and how it's made you feel, and if you've been able to, maybe you didn't recognize you're doing this. I would love to hear. So, and if you know anybody that this podcast may help, please share it, because the more that we can just be who we are, the more we can experience more freedom and more joy in our lives, and we can just let go of trying to please other people and not be ourselves. Right, I'm going to love yous and leave yous today, and I will speak to you all soon. Bye.